We interrupt this program to bring you a special news.
This is London.
This is not a test. Every Tuesday, the Journey into Comics Network will bring you The Poor Rapport, your one-stop podcast shop for everything news and topics of personal interest. I am your host, Andrew Poor, and you can hear me every Tuesday.
The following is a Journey into Comics Network production.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to another episode of Journey into Comics. It's episode 170. Today is a very special episode because we are in Studio B for Brando. Brando, how is it going, my friend?
It's going pretty well. It's getting a little late on to the evening. Of course, we're no stranger, to late podcasting. We've podcasted way later than this.
Burn the midnight oil.
We have podcasted a lot more times than this.
Oh, yeah.
We have literally done pretty much marathons of podcasting. But yes, this is very special because I don't have the number in front of me, Nate. But I want to say it was almost 100 episodes ago.
Okay.
That we talked about something that we're going to be talking about in full for the almost kind of like the real first time as far as breaking down.
Oh, the Force Awakens, a ton of spoilers.
It was The Force Awakened, I think is what I called it, but I can't remember.
I think it was like hashtag and a massive amount of spoilers because we broke it down epically.
And then last year, of course, Veronica joined us for the Rogue One special.
Sad podcast. It was Carrie Fisher was dying. It was horrendous.
Because she hadn't officially died yet.
Correct. It was like she took a turn for what everybody thought was the better. And then it wasn't.
Then by the next podcast, she was no longer with us. But today we will be dissecting and breaking down The Last Jedi. And we have a couple friends with us here to do that with.
Yeah, who should we introduce first? I feel like we will introduce our standard guest. You guys know him from Podcastrophe. He was just the guest on the Voice of Survival podcast last Friday. He's been a guest on Game Addicts podcast by the time everyone's here. No, that hasn't happened
not
yet.
yet.
Spoiler alert.
This week.
Spoiler alert. Oops. What's up, Blaine? How you doing?
Oh, it is me. I was wondering who the guest was. What's up?
Not much, man.
There.
How's it going?
It's going great.
Great. Today joining us, someone you brought into this podcasting fold first?
A lot.
A lot. I love that you said a lot because, it's been several episodes.
He won't leave. And at the same time, I kind of don't want him to.
He's like the network parasite. He's just like on every show as best he can. He's going to make his way onto all the shows. Down.
Let's face it, I'm the original parasite.
It's funny because he actually made his first appearance on the network before he appeared on the network because he was doing live chatting on the live stream during the Richard episode.
Oh, yeah, that's
And
right.
Richard made him spell out how he pronounces his last name. That was hilarious. But Tyler McLaughlin, welcome to the show. Did I say that right?
You did. You said it perfectly.
God, I'm a pro.
Shut up,
That's
Blaine.
fucking great. Welcome to our show. Welcome to Journey into Comics.
Happy to be here.
We're happy to have you. Today, we're going to just we're fucking diving right in. There's a lot to talk about. And yes, sir.
I was just going to say is that there is a lot to talk about, and we have successfully almost not said much of anything for like the last couple of hours. I have said nothing about this yet.
Oh yeah.
I have not opened my mouth. But there's something else that we need to talk about first.
Yeah, sure.
We need to talk about the news that came out the same day that this movie was released.
Yeah, they repealed net neutrality.
Well, there is that. There is that. The fight's not done yet, guys.
That's true.
The fight is not done. It's not got to go through Congress. You have 17 states
Appeals courts
looking to enact their own state laws. Washington's looking at this. Several other states are looking at possibly suing, as well as several online companies.
Not us.
No, absolutely not.
But on to better news, right?
So yeah, Disney finally announced the deal. We've been talking about it here on the show probably the last couple of weeks.
Yep.
About buying 20th Century Fox, and it's kind of been in the loom for like about a month.
Yeah, it was like late November or
around
early,
Thanksgiving. Yeah,
the kind of news broke. It was like shortly after the Deadpool teaser came out, I think, because I was just like, "Oh, this is gonna get interesting really fast," and it everything is kind of played out really beautifully because questions that fans had were immediately answered. Will Deadpool be rated R? Yes. They will still make sure Deadpool is an R-rated movie. They know what success they have with that. Fox didn't really do much to make that movie. It was more the production team and everybody else involved. Ryan Reynolds and whatnot. So that was a big question answered. They said right out the gate, welcome home Fantastic Four, welcome home X-Men. Like, this is an amazing day for Marvel fans.
It's a new hope.
Oh, I love how you did that. That was brilliantly done. Of these properties, though, I'm kind of curious to know for your guys' perspective, what are you most interested in seeing happening from this deal? Because it opens a lot of doors, and it doesn't necessarily mean like, oh, I just want a new Fantastic Four. Like, that's great. We're going to get it. But, like, what are the extremes within comics that you're stoked to hopefully see play out on the big screen?
I would personally like to see some more Ghost Rider.
Ooh, a redone Ghost Rider?
Not Nicolas Cage and not half-ass attempts at making something successful. I want the same level of effort that they've put into everything else.
Did you see Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.? They put Ghost Rider in that. It's the new Ghost Rider, the kid.
Yeah, it's the different... It's not Johnny Blaze.
They can bring him in.
I would love to see it.
I think now's the time. Mr. Dick?
I just... There's a couple things.
Okay.
I would like some form of Galactus to appear.
Okay.
Which would be neat.
With or without Silver Surfer?
I don't...
You have to bring the Silver Herald
sure.
of Death. I mean...
I think that's a great potential follow-up to a Thanos.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
He crashes into Earth.
Because, all right, so, like, we've had, for villains in Avengers, we've already had Ultron, we had Loki. One of them has to be Doom.
Yep.
Like, even if he's, like, starts off as the Fantastic Four villain, he needs to go on to be the next big team-up villain. And then you follow, like, the next big bad would be Galactus, because what do you do to top that other than, like, Secret Wars?
That's what I was going to say. Do you think after Infinity War and, you know, as we progress the next couple years, do you think that we're going to go as far as Secret Wars? Because I would love to see it, but I don't know.
Okay, Secret Wars would be fun, and it's possible because you can get Robert Downey Jr. out of the Stark armor in the Iron Man armor and give it to Rhodey to play roundball with Jr.
Yeah,
of course,
good
I'm not gonna avoid that epic, ridiculous Jim Shooter line. Really, though, looking at this deal, like, honestly, all these properties and everything that's just happened, House of M is the best story to tell because Scarlet Witch is your herald in the MCU already. Let her break the world. Create a alternate version of the world that is her perfect vision where mutants are, the heroes and there are very few humans and they're demonized like the mutants were. There's some weird feedback going on Brando. I'm getting a weird feedback in this, by the way. It's whistling at me. That was weird.
Never had a whistle.
It wasn't just me breathing into the mic.
No. Is it still there?
No.
That's odd.
That's creepy.
I don't hear any whistling. I'll wear the headphones for a while.
Okay, sure. Yeah, please do. So,
Is the headphones actually plugged in? Because right now I don't think they're plugged in.
Yeah, these are my headphones, bro. These are mine. His are plugged in right here.
Well, okay, so part of this might actually be this long ass.
I didn't see the connector. I was
Gotcha.
like, why?
We have a long cable, and it's the cable that we bought for LaFicon, and it kind of shorts in and out sometimes.
Okay. Back to it. We'll talk more about House of M. So what I was saying is, with Scarlet Witch, she's already the herald in the MCU. She's there as your anchor. You create an alternate universe with her where the mutants are the majority and there are very few humans, and you change everything. It allows you to bring multiple X-Men in hordes, okay? But then whoever fixes it, however they resolve that, they can resolve it a different number of ways, whether it's exactly the comic book route or whether they change it. The end result is the world being fixed, but with the mutants and the Fantastic Four and everybody who needs to be there. I think the only thing that we're going to have trouble with in all of this is recasting. And we'll talk about that in a minute. Brando, well, you didn't say yet, and Dick, did you give your opinion on what you want to see come out of this deal?
I gave one of them.
Okay, do you have any others? I felt
Deadpool
doing what?
Deadpool-y things in the MCU.
Okay.
Because I want to see Deadpool hanging out with Captain America.
That'd be nifty.
Because like from what I understand, like they have a cool parallel in the fact that they're both experiments of their government.
Very much so.
Of their respective governments, and so they have. Cap seems to be the only person that really kind of has any kind of respect for Deadpool in that regard.
He still hates him.
Oh, I bet.
It's amazing.
I guarantee it.
That's an amazing dichotomy. Brando, what about you, though? For all the different things they can do now that these doors have been opened.
Okay, so I have a list.
Sure.
Right here of all the things that Disney is acquiring through this deal. Do you want to go through them?
Yeah, I know one. Spoiler alert, it's your shirt.
Are you talking about like the live action?
Mm-hmm. They acquired those rights.
We'll start with the obvious that we've already mentioned: X-Men.
Yep.
Fantastic Four, and Star Wars, the original New Hope. So they now own all of Star Wars, and they got their Marvel properties back. The next biggest one is probably Avatar.
That's awesome.
Even though it's only been one movie so far, but there are movies being made, and one I think is currently in production.
Yeah, Avatar 2.
The first Avatar grossed almost $3 billion in global box office.
Whoa. It's all time? Number one? Or is Titanic still number one?
I thought Avatar edged it out, but I don't want to say that with certainty.
You know what's weird about Avatar, though? They did a second run of that. They did, like, the first theater run, and they waited, like, 4 months, and then released it again during Christmas time.
Mm-hmm.
So they got that fucking big holiday push, and that was, like, one of the early 3D movies you could see.
Well, 3D movies that was actually shot in 3D.
Thank you. That's what
so
I'm trying
because
to
at the time, I think Clash of the Titans, or whichever one of those is first, you had the option to see that in 3D at the same time, but it wasn't shot in 3D. And it was terrible.
It was just rendered 3D?
Yep.
That's stupid. Avatar was my first 3D movie. It was awesome.
I actually saw Avatar on Christmas Day. With Matt, guest on Podcastrophe a couple times now. I kind of invaded his date. I was like, because it was one of those days that like I had nothing going on. Like all my family stuff was either the day before or over. So I was like just bored at home, and I texted him. I was like, dude, I'm so bored. He's like, we're gonna go see Avatar. I'm like, can I come?
Dick crashes the Christmas day.
Yeah, of course.
We were going through properties.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, Kingsman.
Cool.
So they own Kingsman.
Didn't they just announce a sequel or a third movie for that like 3 days ago?
I think so, maybe. Yeah. They the Golden Circle, which is that's the newest one.
Mm-hmm. I believe so.
That grossed $400 million. And then, okay, let's go to the next section. Die Hard.
Cool.
Fight Club.
Cool.
Red Sparrow.
No idea.
Right over top.
Red Sparrow's original film isn't set to release until 2018, but Fox and now Disney are already banking on the franchise to be. The mature film is based on a novel by Jason Matthews, which follows a woman, Jennifer Lawrence, as a seductive spy. Matthews sold the film rights to Red Sparrow before the book was even published. He's already contracted for a sequel. Alien.
That's awesome.
And Predator.
Yeah, that's even awesomer.
Planet of the Apes.
Oh.
Independence Day.
Oh, my.
The Martian.
Whoa.
Artemis.
Eh.
The Maze Runner.
Eh.
Percy Jackson.
Eh.
Ice Age.
Eh.
Alvin and the Chipmunks.
Eh.
Chronicles of Narnia. Dr. Dolittle.
Ugh.
Can we go back real quick? I would like to see the Chronicles of Narnia redone because they tried so hard to compete with, I feel like, Lord of the Rings and Harry Potter at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And just fumbled over
And just fumbled over.
And now that they're done, it might be able to stand on its own a little bit.
Yep.
Yeah. It said Disney co-produced the first two films, but the third was led by Fox. And then finally, this is such a weird amalgamation of stuff. You have the Home Alone series.
Yep.
Edward Scissorhands.
Mm-hmm.
Mrs. Doubtfire.
Yeah.
Which is funny that I just mentioned that before we got on
That's
air.
right.
And the Beverly Hillbillies.
Weird. Didn't they also end up with, like, Simpsons?
Simpsons and Family Guy.
And Family Guy.
And
X-Files.
And American Dad, by that extension, right?
Okay.
Futurama?
I don't think Fox owns Futurama. Because I think the rights got sold.
Oh.
Because you have production companies. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe so. But think about the other television shows. They own Fox FX. So you're thinking 24.
Yeah.
You're thinking X-Files.
Oh.
The Shield.
Okay.
Okay, so just think about all these shows that were developed and then by Fox and put on their channels. So also, next step, Disney now owns 39% stake in Hulu.
That's cool.
They don't have they are the large shareholder majority, but Comcast, NBC, Universal, and Time Warner still own shares. In order for Disney to control Hulu, they have to buy out the other guys. That's probably not going to happen.
No.
But they want to make their own service, their own streaming service. And
make it an add-on to Hulu.
Either that, okay, or you completely go separate, make your own thing, make it an additive to Hulu and Netflix like they want it to be.
Okay.
But now, look at all this Fox shit you can pull off the others. Put over there.
Man. They just, made a chess move power. I feel like there's... Tyler, you said it best before we were on air, that they resurrected Walt Disney, and he's the mastermind behind this, and I feel like he figured out the secret to printing money because he's also the guy who figured out time travel.
They
and
thawed him from his carbonite.
And he's like, this is the move that had to be made. This right here has to be done.
He actually pioneered Bitcoin.
Oh my God! They don't know who pioneered Bitcoin. That's like a great mystery. I don't know if you guys actually know that.
Real quick, according to our overlord Wikipedia, 20th Century Fox
Praise be unto thee.
Does own Futurama.
Oh, okay. So then that means that they no longer. Now it's Disney.
Correct.
Interesting. Okay. This is very interesting how this all has played out. This is a fantasy thing. Like, oh, Disney will buy Fox or Disney will buy back Fantastic Four at least. Jesus, that's not a. But they were like, oh, we could just get the X-Men and Fantastic Four. And I feel like Fox was like, we'll sell it all to you for this much, and Disney was like, wait, is that even a thing? Do you really want to do that? They were like, yeah, sure. I mean, we're down. And then Comcast tried to get in, and they were like, not competing with Disney money. No way. Just tap out while you have a chance.
Well, I don't know why, as big as Disney is at this point, I don't know why you would want to compete with Disney. Why you would do that to yourself, because Disney has enough capital and enough resources just as far as personnel. I mean, they can do whatever they want whenever they want, as long as the government doesn't stop them from doing it.
Before it's all said and done, Disney will be its own religion.
I don't doubt it.
I mean, it's just like, it's ridiculous how much Disney is in everything now. They are literally Thanosing their way through and collecting the gems one by one.
Sorry, I'm not. I don't mean to keep scooting away from you, but I was sitting directly on whatever bar is supporting this. It was directly in my ass crack.
That's not metal.
And I was like, I can't do this.
He only
anymore.
enjoyed it for so long.
I could
He
only
had to get off the pony. Oh, that's.
I'm jaded. I'm spent.
No. Is there anything else we really should get into with this Disney Fox deal, or is it time to really dive into the meat and potatoes?
We have
wanted?
one more thing because, and it will be what's called a segue.
Oh,
Because I mentioned that they bought the rights to A New Hope,
yes.
the original Star Wars movie. George Lucas never owned it. He owned the special edition version. They owned that. But like, the one thing that I hated. Probably the only thing that I actually hated about The Force Awakens when I went to go see it 2 years ago, that it didn't have the 20th Century Fox startup. Growing up, watching those movies started with that drum line and the horns, and that was part of it. That was part of the presentation.
Yeah.
So just like tonight when we saw The Last Jedi, you're sitting there and you just see like the little logo, and I'm like, oh. I mean, I'm still excited to see the movie, but it's just like, it's not the same.
I've never even thought about that portion, but I understand, yeah.
Well, I mean, when you watch them for like 20 years, and it
You're
has
right.
it.
Like I said, I didn't think about it until just now when you brought it up. I'm like, wow,
Like,
it really is.
like we just watched the despecialized editions, so it has the old school one, because obviously they've actually kept that same thing for like years, but they've just gotten better quality.
Yeah.
What this may lead to is more incentive. Now that they own it, they don't have to work with them. They don't have to do anything. It's theirs. Even if there is sort of them going, you can't buy this thing because you're going to you're going to have 36% of the market share for the entertainment industry. You can't do that. They're going to get their shit. Mm-hmm. If it turns out they can't make the deal and buy the fucking whole thing, they're going to say, fine, you know what? $5 billion, give us our shit and we'll get out.
Yep.
No, Disney's going to be like, we're going to own the world.
And then they buy the government.
Oh my god, that would be crazy. I'm down for a Disney government. Disney World Order.
Disney coup d'etat.
Can I just say, I read an article that was really interesting, and do you know why the original theatrical releases haven't been released? It has nothing to do with rights. This is the most shocking thing I learned. Somebody who is on the inside who knows the situation close said it only comes down to George Lucas has requested them not be released. That is the one thing, and I'm not for that. I'm sorry. Fuck you, George Lucas. I love you at the same time. God damn it. You shit on my childhood. And
I think both should be available. I think.
Exactly.
The special edition and the original theatrical. There's no reason why they shouldn't. Watching this despecialized editions, I don't need to see Ewoks blinking, damn it. It makes no sense.
Right.
It only looks weird now that you've made them blink. Seriously, it really has. It's like watching that. That's all I look at is the fucking. But I really do hope this does lead to a Blu-ray remastered theatrical re-release of the original trilogy, because everybody will buy it.
Absolutely.
If people buy underwear that says Star Wars on it, they'll buy this.
Right.
Yes.
In 4K.
Oh
exactly. Yes,
God.
absolutely.
Everywhere.
Everywhere.
All
Just
the
like,
time.
You know
With
what?
digital codes.
It's like Randy Marsh in that episode of South Park where the
He's in the
internet's
computer
gone,
chair.
and then he's like, I really need to use the internet. He sneaks in, and then they're like, he's sitting there all covered in jizz, and he's like, did you guys see the spooky ghost? The ghost got ectoplasm all over me. That's how I would feel. Oh man. Another thing with Star Wars. Okay, so let's talk about that. How did you guys celebrate the lead up? You said you watched despecialized editions. I did as well, and I actually watched the entirety of all the movies in machete order, complete, leading up to The Last Jedi. It was fucking nuts. Yes, I watched The Phantom Menace, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But did you guys do anything special?
A week and a half ago, I watched The Force Awakens with my girlfriend Miranda, because the original plan was we were going to go down to Indy tomorrow, and we were gonna go see it at Circle Center Mall. But then this came up, and I'm like, well, you're not the biggest Star Wars fan. And
Blasphemy.
basically, we would be doing this for me, and it's her weekend, it's her birthday weekend. That was just a plan that I made because I figured it'd be fun to do while because we're going to Indy anyways. And then Brandon's like, "Hey, I got my ticket for Friday. If you want to go, otherwise I'll be alone."
Well, it kind of turned out that way because we couldn't get somebody to watch Wyatt. So
yeah,
because originally, just like the last few times, Kate was going to go with me. She loves Star Wars. She has very strong feelings against the prequels, and as much as I try to get her to see the good in those, besides the bad, because she just dogs on them. I'm like, Ewan McGregor's fucking awesome.
Yep.
Samuel
L. Jackson is fucking awesome.
Great. Hayden Christensen's not the guy that I would pick, but he gave the performance that the director asked him to give.
Yeah,
right.
Absolutely.
You can't blame the kid for that.
Nope.
Give him another fucking chance, dude. He has the best scenes are when he doesn't talk, and I've said that before. Just the English, but yes, I ended up it was gonna be me going by myself, and which I would have done it.
He said the same thing to me though. He's like, I'm going by myself, and I was looking at the calendar, which is right there, looking at what's going on. I'm like, wait a minute. Literally, there are no fucking plans for me on Friday. Going to Lafayette, you're not going alone. Fuck that. It's not happening. And then it kind of became a thing, which is awesome.
Well, because you're coming down.
Yeah.
And if you're a lock at coming down, I'm like, well, let's see if anybody else wants to go, because then we might be able to do something
that we're doing right now.
I told Tyler about it, and then I was like, hey, do you want to just buy my ticket? That way, he was already there, basically.
We're partners.
And so he's like, Auditorium 3, and then we're like, well, I don't remember who said it, but I wonder if Brandon's in Auditorium 3. I just laughed my ass off because I knew you'd already gotten your ticket, and I was like, oh my god, what if he after all this trouble of rounding up the crew, he still ends up alone?
Well, like always, I'm being the podcast whore that I am. I just kind of walked up in the middle of the conversation and, so you guys are seeing Star Wars? Yeah, I'm coming.
Yep.
I'm going.
Yep, not doing it alone.
Blaine and I are life partners, so I bought his ticket.
Me and Blaine started talking about podcasting, and then you said, fuck yeah, and I'm like, well, I didn't want to assume. I didn't want to just say you're going to the show and then doing a podcast, because I don't like to push that. Because I'm I'm going to make your plans for you. Just go with it. I don't like to do that.
We've all kind of had the podcasting life thrust upon us.
Yeah.
So far, I'm very happy with this thrustage.
Yeah, it's cool because you can just sit back and I love thrustage. It's a great thrustage might be the episode title. Oh God. Double entendre when you think about some of the thrustage that happens in The Last Jedi.
Oh shit,
man. Do you guys want to just do it? I feel like we've stalled on this shit long enough, and I want to fucking just explode.
Real quick, my build up to
Jesus, I'm sorry. I'm a fucking
you're all right,
asshole.
You're all right.
I'm the worst.
I still have my original VHS copies of the original trilogy.
The CBS Fox released?
Yeah.
Amazing.
Nate, move your bag. Move your bag.
Okay.
Yeah. Now open up that flap.
Oh, we got a flap.
Mask of the Phantasm.
Holy shit, I see the Ewok Adventure.
Oh, I have that. I have that on...
Yoink.
Yep.
This is the Fox Home Video
Fox CBS one? Is that...
it's Fox Home Video.
Okay.
But that's Return.
So I had the Fox version, and I watched those VHSs so many times, I wore the tapes out.
Okay. Because I've got the other... I actually had the Fox CBS ones, too.
I see it.
Of Empire and Jedi.
That's Caddyshack. That's Caddyshack, folks.
Oh, I forgot I owned Caddyshack.
Hey!
Dude,
it's not in
I
there.
just bought these at they're not in there?
I don't see them.
Oh, they must be pushed to the back. But yeah, okay, so Ewok Adventure, right? I got that at
Nate,
Goodwill for $1.
Nate gave his 30%.
Remember not long ago I was telling you I've got a DVD that won't play that I bought from Disc Replay?
Yeah.
Fuckers.
That's it. The Ewok Adventures, the double-sided, both movies, which I loved as a kid. I can't watch them because they're so
I
scratched.
didn't even know there was a second.
Oh, they're great.
They have a polisher.
Yeah, the last time I went in, I talked to a guy about it, and he's like, "Well, we'll do our best." So
Your best was not good enough.
But I bought it from him. I would have thought that.
How long ago did you buy it?
Well, it was my relationship with Disc Replay has not been good for about a year and a half. Partially because I bought that and it wouldn't play.
Okay, because I didn't have the polisher back then.
Yeah. So
next time on Game Addicts.
But I'm really excited to get that fixed and maybe watch it. But I watched A New Hope on VHS.
Awesome.
Just like I did when I was a kid, and then I bought like a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, I bought the complete Blu-ray Star Wars that's got young Anakin on the front and all that.
The yellowish tinge thing.
Yep. I went through and watched all of them.
In order? How did you do it?
I watched Empire and Return of the Jedi, and then I went back and watched the prequels.
And then so you essentially did machete order.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I love Episode 1. Big fan. I remember seeing it 3 times in a row in 1999 by myself as a young lad.
I believe that Phantom Menace had, in my opinion, the best non-traditional Star Wars music in one scene, and it's the duel.
Oh, absolutely.
The whole
Duel of Fates?
The Duel of Fates. Thank you. I couldn't remember. I was like, the Duel of what the fuck is the word? I can't remember.
Well, it was so over the top.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And
it just blew you back in your seats. I mean, I remember as a kid hearing that almost montage start, and it's like, turn it up to 11. I want this in my face.
And I don't care I don't care who you are as a kid. Pod racers were cool.
Oh, hell yeah.
They were fucking neat. I wanted to be in one, and I hate Sebulba. Fuck you. You little fucking nutsack.
The first movie of that trilogy is the only one that truly feels like a Star Wars movie to me.
Yes. Thank you.
And that's why I actually do like that movie a lot. I really dislike Attack of the Clones.
Yeah.
It is shoddily written, shoddily acted,
well,
put together, and it's like all of them. They have good scenes, but that movie to me, the more I watch it, the more I'm just like, ugh.
Well, for me, there's so much that I love about the prequel trilogies, and I'm kind of the master of unpopular opinions. I think what ruined Attack of the Clones for me is how forced the teeny bopper love story between Hayden Christensen and Natalie Portman was. Natalie Portman's hot, so I enjoyed all of it because of that. But it was necessary, but they just pushed it on you so hard. It's like, man, back it down a peg and I'll enjoy this, and they just never did.
They could have made it like a whole, honestly, if they were doing it right, Attack of the Clones should have been less CGI. That's my biggest complaint.
Yep.
It's so bad. The CGI is so noticeably bad now.
Right.
And back then, okay, it's whatever. And then as far as the love story is concerned, I think that they should not have done the love story with Anakin like this. They should have continued to build the angst between them. And then there should have been one explosive sex scene that was like at the end.
Sign me up.
Exactly. But then that's right before Vader turns, because that's his first step into the dark side. He has officially betrayed the Jedi Order.
Right.
I kind of feel like if they're going to do the love story, she should have been pushing him back. No. We're friends.
I'm a senator.
No.
Stop. Stop. Do not enter.
And so, but there's a portion of the movie where Jango Fett is not where Obi-Wan is at the factory, right? The clone factory. And then he shows up. Why not have him still kind of get the fucking... maybe he tracks him down. And Anakin alone kind of fends off Jango. Doesn't defeat him, fends him off, gets them to safety. And she's like, wow, you really saved me. That kind of opens her eyes a little bit, to where now she's letting this kid gets kind of flirting, and then kind of lets that in a little bit, and then that's that. And instead of it just being we're together, I feel feelings. You were 10,
and I haven't changed a
lick, I already had boobs.
But she also looks the exact same.
Yeah,
she does. Well, because it's only 2 years later.
Well, correct. But he grows it's been 15 years later.
I would be okay with that version too, just because we would get more Jango Fett.
Exactly.
Yep.
Because you see him twice in the movie, and then he gets his head cut off. So, Yeah, I didn't get a chance to watch Force Awakens. I didn't watch prequels at all. I got to the last night. Finally, like we had Jedi going in the background pretty much all night because we were just so busy. And then I put Force in, and I'm like, yeah, I'm going to bed. I'm not even going to start it. So we've actually said that Wyatt has been bugging her to watch Star Wars, which fills me with glee and pride.
Oh, absolutely.
And he knows who R2 is.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Your heart melts when he says
yeah.
that.
Well, because I said, who's that? R2. And I'm like, yes.
Has he started to imitate the sounds yet?
Not yet.
That's what I did when I was a kid.
Not yet. I mean,
No, I could speak R2. Like, I was an astromech droid when I was a kid.
Oh my god, that's amazing.
you were a Roomba.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
But I don't think he realizes that they're different movies yet, because he and he knows who Chewie is.
Yeah.
So he goes, because he saw like the big pig in Jabba's palace. He goes, a Chewie. Like, no, that's not Chewie.
I could have
And
sworn
then-
you just said Jabba's phallus.
Phallus.
What? It's all dicks in the end.
Anyway, yeah, dude. So when Chewie finally gets in there, so I think let's go back and watch Force Awakens. I am going to take Caitlin to see the movie over Shutdown on a random weekday. No one's going to be in there.
Yep.
You know, and she definitely wants to see the movie really bad, and I can't wait to take her because we're going to talk about the Last Jedi finally as we get into this podcast, as we keep Blaine longer and longer.
It's okay.
Because we're only 22 minutes, okay, maybe 30 minutes into this podcast.
Let's go.
All right,
We have Star Wars to talk about here, pal.
I'm really excited to talk about this
all right,
movie.
so
Let's do this.
spoilers from this point on, guys. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
So Luke
Spoiler
dies
alert.
at the end. I'm just getting it out of the way. No. Okay. But really, we should talk about this movie. I went and saw it on Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been waiting so hard to talk to other people about this and have a long conversation about what you guys thought. I right out of the gate love this movie, but I want to get your guys' opinions about what you felt about it. It was really fun to experience you guys experience it for the first time. It actually made the movie experience a little bit better because I know all the things coming. And I'm just looking around oh, they're gonna love this part so much. And you guys, for the most part, did.
I'm very emotive when I'm watching a movie.
I noticed.
Yeah, you can see my hands moving, and I mean, the chuckles that I get from not humor, but just no, oh yeah, some shit like that. But no, I think I immediately texted Miranda. And I started telling her, I was like, I loved it. The movie was almost 3 hours long, and there was not a normally movies of that length. I get to a certain point, and I'm like, okay, we've got to be getting close to the end. Not one point did I feel that way. I was hooked. Every scene had it had me hooked. It had me hooked.
Yeah,
That's what I'm
absolutely.
gonna say.
Tyler.
For me, whenever I go into any movie, my number one goal, or my number one determining factor on whether I enjoy the movie or not, is if I'm entertained. It could be the worst movie in the world, and as long as I'm entertained, at least through the majority of it, I'll love it. I watched a couple spoiler-free reviews yesterday evening, just to, get more prepared for what I was about to experience, and a lot of what I read and watched said that this is by far, hands down, the best film in any of them, out of all of them, and I totally agree with that. I was entertained from the start to the end, no lapse.
I mean, they
Perfect.
successfully told multiple stories, intertwined them beautifully,
Well-
and kept a 3-hour movie feeling short. It was even at the very end, you're like, what's coming next? What's the next step?
And sorry to
You're right.
interject here, but all of that's in a really short time span, and a short time span after The Force Awakens.
Yes.
It's not long after that movie, and it all takes place within not even a day.
Like less than 24 hours,
Yeah.
yeah.
Some of what I had read, certain plot points throughout the movie, people say are unnecessary. Kind of like what I was saying about the Clone Wars with the love story and all that.
Okay.
I didn't feel that way. Basically all of the Finn and Rose stuff, a lot of people are saying was completely unnecessary.
I loved it.
I loved it too, and I was so surprised that they felt that way. And they said that one of the reviews that I said was that Poe was too much like a teenage kid, and
No,
it
not at
totally
all.
fit with his character development.
Yeah.
I thought I have nothing to complain about, and I think that a lot of the stuff that I read yesterday was just people really picking it apart and trying to find something to complain about.
I mean, Poe got a promotion and had a chance to do something major right out of the gate. The first part of the movie
Right.
and I love that open in a space a sequence of
yeah.
battle that just sets the tone. You're in Star Wars, welcome. You know, like no bullshit, no going to a planet, nothing. We're in a fight sequence, and that going on. You know, you have Poe. Essentially, what's happening is on this planet that is the rebel base. They're evacuating because the First Order is there to fuck shit up with their dreadnought, I think was what it was called.
Yep.
Poe, just does this thing, and he just maneuvers and blows up all of the top cannons. So then, of course, he makes that call right out of the gate. Before we get into that, though, Brandon, your thoughts upon this movie?
I really enjoyed it. I definitely felt like the movie was long. Not in a bad way, but it just got to the point where near the end where I'm like, Jesus Christ, how much more can they do? It was like, how much more can you possibly do in this movie and still have more to do? Because it seems like a lot. And the only part of the movie that I wasn't like directly into was the whole Finn and Rose stuff.
Really?
That was the part of the movie that as I'm watching it, I'm like, this screams prequel to me. Like, not like in what I mean is prequel bad way.
Okay.
I didn't hate it. Okay. And so don't think that. But it definitely took me out of it.
Okay.
It was a bit slow. It kind of prodded itself, and it seemed. And yes, while I understand this happens a lot throughout the series, convenient when they found the dude in the cell.
There's one of 3 complaints I have about this movie. They're all really small. Finding the dude in the cell is weird because of all the people, they're going to find that dude who happens to just have exactly enough knowledge. And then they've not done anything to build this guy's allegiance. Of course he's a scumbag who's going to turn on a dime.
Now, see, you could argue, again, destiny led by the Force. The Force led them there.
Yeah.
The Force, it's always been described as almost kind of like this living, breathing thing that is involved.
And we're not talking about midichlorians.
No.
Thank you.
We are talking about when it's necessary, it gets involved to either push things one way or another.
For the balance.
Or dark. It does both. And so you could argue that, in a way, they were led there and that happened for a reason. But still, like, when I go to a movie, I try to turn my brain off. Because I don't want to dissect the movie while I'm watching it for the first time.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, take it in, do all that kind of stuff. But that whole segment, that whole part was like, okay, well, now they left. Now they're on their way back. And so it's like, the one thing that I did like was everything was converging around the same time coming back in. Because there's another thing that I have a problem with, and it's like, why didn't they just blow them the fuck up and exert extra force? Like, they were just like, we're going to wait till these guys run out of gas, and then we're just going to go blow them up.
Well, I guess that's true. I think it was more of a power play. General Hux was Hux mixed with Snoke.
It was just really off to me because I'm like, you guys can go faster, right? Yeah, we'll just stay up with them long enough for them to run out of fuel, and then we're just gonna pew pew when they get when they start drifting back a little bit too further for our weapons to be. I get it. We wouldn't have a movie if
Without
that
drama.
didn't happen.
Correct.
It's the drama. So I told myself to shut up about that right from the get-go.
Shut the fuck up, Brandon.
I'm like, dude, no, they've got to do this, and we've got to go through this whole thing. So therefore, either they can A, get away, or B, be just completely destroyed. But this has to happen because now we got to go over here, and then we got to come back, but then we got to go back over there. I did like that this movie was a roller coaster.
Yes.
It was. It did not feel akin to Episode 5 like Episode 7 did to 4. This one had a couple different tones from each one, plus new.
Mm-hmm.
It definitely had the Empire feel, with them being on the defensive
And outmanned.
and even more so. Like it was,
Yes.
it was dire. Like when the entire rest of the Resistance can load up on the Falcon to leave, and that's all that's left.
That's like 18 people.
Well, and look when they send the distress signal out and they say, "This has been received by all of our allies in the Outer Rim," and no one's replying. So they are 100% on their own. All like 18 people.
Well, and,
you know?
and it's the that's the main theme of the movie is to spark the rebellion to grow again. This movie's main theme though is like plans that go terribly wrong. Everything in this movie is a plan that goes terribly wrong. You know, Rey thinks she has a plan. It goes terribly wrong. I mean, kinda. It was kind of awesome also. You have Finn has this plan with Rose. It goes wrong. Poe has this plan. It goes wrong.
Snoke has a plan.
Snoke has a plan.
wrong.
It goes wrong. The chick that replaces Leia when she goes down temporarily in the movie, her plan, it goes wrong. Like it's literally going like no matter how hard you plan and how hard you think these are going to go right. Like you guys probably are all thinking like they were definitely going to shut that shit down when they got inside of Snoke's ship, right? And then it's like the boom, they get cut off at the pass, and you're just like, fuck, another failure. Mm-hmm. And it echoes what Luke says when he says, strip away all of the things and the Jedi are, failure. That's the legacy we leave behind, hubris and failure.
With all the lead up the last 2 years with that poor chick having to hold that lightsaber out, waiting for him to grab it.
Her arm must be tired.
And the first thing he does is toss it off a cliff.
Fucking hilarious.
Just toss it over his shoulder.
I didn't even think of it like that. I noticed like a weird, like the way it was shot. So she hands it to him, and she kind of takes a step back. But when it cuts back to him, she's like 15 feet away, rather than a couple steps back from him.
That is one of the
I'm like,
few continuity errors in the movie. There's another one when Finn is getting into the escape pod. He puts the backpack on the ground. She confronts him. And then she's talking to him the whole time, but then it's in the ship.
Right.
And then the other thing is in the final battle when they're on the mining place in the last stand, essentially, when Finn and Rose is essentially shuttle Tiberius flying in, is going down and those TIE fighters are shooting. The stuff coming up is not red. It's just smoke. But then the rest of the battles, all of the mineral that's under that salt is just shooting up red, and it's this big to-do and a big scene.
I guess I didn't notice that.
You wouldn't have, and I just happened to notice it, because I was like, huh, that shit's supposed to be red when it hits. Every other time it's fucking red. Why is it not red here?
I really liked the aesthetic of like the red
beautiful.
smoke. I thought it was
Really
Well,
was.
especially you go back to, the similarities that it does have between Empire and itself.
The trenches.
Yeah.
Hoth and
it's not
it kind of
snow,
ends
it's
how...
Hoth and whatever this planet is,
with the walkers
Yep.
and all that stuff. I mean, they definitely typically, because you know how like in a lot of ways with Empire, the movie's called Empire Strikes Back, the rebels destroyed the Death Star, and ever since then they've been kind of on the run. They've been the Empire's like, motherfucker, that was a lot of fucking money we spent on that goddamn
took
thing.
a long time building that thing.
It did. It took forever,
30
and
years.
then we finally got the damn thing going up. So yeah, we're gonna fucking kick your ass. And then now they're on the run. And on this one, it's like they destroyed Starkiller Base, not before the First Order pretty much decimated the New Republic. The New Republic is no longer there.
Coruscant's gone.
Yeah. Well, and then you have like the Senate is gone, the Chancellor's gone, and like there is no power structure. The thing is that did you guys ever look into like the history of what happened with the Empire and the New Republic and how that ended?
No.
Nothing that's canon
It's
anymore.
been a long
No,
time.
well, okay, because this is the new canon.
I don't know.
After the Death Star got destroyed, there was basically a civil war. And basically what that is that the rebels have basically said, we're in charge now. And the Empire is like, fuck no, you ain't. And so the fighting kind of still began, but then there's fighting within the Empire. There's power struggle. Because there are some who are enacting the Emperor's final, contingency plan. Because his final contingency plan was to destroy the Empire and everything.
Because the Empire couldn't protect its Emperor, correct?
Mm-hmm. So what ends up happening is that there are peace talks, and those break down, and yet another mini war starts up, or another war between the New Republic, which has now been established with the new Senate, and the Galactic Empire. Finally, there is peace, and the Grand Vizier meets with Mon Mothma, and they broker peace, and they severely they get rid of all of the Galactic Empire's political power, and they severely limit the Galactic Empire's military strength. And it's only in its most strongest around the center rim. But then there's the First Order was a sect of that empire that broke off. They said no, we do not go along with the Grand Vizier. We do not broker peace. We follow the old vision of the empire along with the Emperor. So they spend a long time building back up. Leia was a senator who got disgraced when the news broke, TMZ style, that Darth Vader was her father. She was in line to become the next chancellor after Mon Mothma, and then her political career is absolutely destroyed and she is disgraced. Instead, she goes back to the front to try to combat this new First Order threat, which the new Republic says we want nothing to do with. They are not a threat to us. And they're like, guys, they're actually mobilizing. They're trying to become a threat to us.
They're Nazi Germany.
Essentially. And the New Republic is like, get away. Well, General Leia, that's why she dropped the princess. She's general. She's not a senator. She's a general. And you have like what was basically the centerpiece of the rebellion, Admiral Akbar, a lot of these old like leaders banded together and formed the resistance because they're doing it by themselves. They're not doing it with the New Republic. And so in The Force Awakens, we see the First Order actually destroy the New Republic, and all that's left is the resistance. And so now the First Order is militarily poised to take control of the entire galaxy, and all that's left is a small sect of the resistance. And they are looking to wipe. And so coming into this movie, they're like, swipe the table. They hurt us. They hurt us bad, but they ain't shit.
Right.
Nothing is stopping us now. All we got to do, sweep these guys to the side, move on in. We the Empire's essentially risen again. But this whole movie was like them basically barely getting away, losing more people. And in the end, still not extinguishing the flame of hope.
Damn close, though.
It got close.
Let's talk about some of the cool moments of this movie as we go through. you know, there's a lot of... I thought this movie could very easily have just been right to the handing of the lightsaber scene, like just like kick it right off and let's find out. They don't really do that. Like I said, they start with the big fight scene. It really sets up the whole movie. The rebellion gets away on light speed. They're tracked by light speed. Makes everything really fucking terrible for them. They have no chance now. And they're running out of fuel, and they're trying to figure out what to do. And then Finn, you know, I kind of liked the thing with the sisters, though. Rose and her sister, and her sister dies fighting the rebellion, and she gives her cause, and it gives Rose this reason to kind of live. And she sees what Finn is doing and later in the movie, and she makes a judgment call that she feels like it's an unnecessary sacrifice. It's not really going to change anything. Like, that's not going to do what he thinks it's going to do, because did you see that weapon? But in this movie, there are just like so many awesome moments. There's a lot of stuff with the island. You got Luke and Rey on the island. He doesn't want to train her, and I love that. He's just like, no. He feels really guilty about what he did to Ben, and I love that there are 3 sides to that story. You see that scene 3 different times.
Yeah.
The lie that Luke tells, Ben Solo's side of the story, and then Luke letting the veneer down and revealing what really happened and how he failed as a person.
I was really happy that they hashed that out the way they did.
Yes, I love that they gave Luke such a big character flaw with that. It really humanizes him. When you think of these Jedi, Luke says he's been romanticized by this point. So he'll never be able to live up to that image. So why even go out? Why even try? Why try to be that image? But I love it because every single main Jedi character in this series has failed.
Yep.
They all fail, but then their failures teach the next what not to do. And that's something that gets brought up as well. But I love seeing that scene because, of course, that harkens back to the original teaser for Force Awakens, right? And with him kneeling next to R2, I love the struggle with Luke actually feeling like he needs to kill Ben.
Yeah.
That is dark shit.
Oh, yeah.
And the thing, this is Luke fucking Skywalker. He stood up and defied the Emperor and said, no, I will not give in to you, motherfucker. I'm not going to kneel to you like my dad did. And here he is with his own nephew going, this kid's going to destroy shit. Like, this kid is bad fucking news.
And it goes even farther than that because not only is he blood, but he's his student. And then, he goes really into detail about how not only he let Ben down, but he let Leia and Han down. And he's like, Han didn't really want this for Ben, but he went with it because, we're family, and he trusted me, and I failed.
I like how he said Han was Han about it.
Yeah. Yep. There are so many little, first time you watch it, you don't notice some things. There's a set of words that's a character's last words in the series that if you're not even paying attention, you don't even recognize the beautiful Easter egg. And we'll get to that at some point in this. But the thing that I really, really liked in the island scene, too, is it establishes a connection with Rey and Kylo.
Yeah.
And it's never been done like this before. They are opening a channel of communication between each other where they can see each other in some form. I feel like Rey could see his whole surroundings, and for some reason he could only see her, and we find out, the cause of that later. But I just love that dynamic because it actually is not gone.
Right. Well, and I also like how it is so real. It's almost kind of like in the Matrix. It's real. If you die in the Matrix, you die in real life because they're there. They're touching each other. He's holding his hand out, and when he gets back out of the connection, his hand is wet because it was raining. He was there.
Yeah.
And what's so awesome about that is that they do this 3 times between them, really? Maybe 4 when it's all said and done.
It's actually, I think, 5 total. There's like the initial, then there's the second one, then there's the fire one where Luke interrupts it, then there's the one more time, and then at the very end when she denies him and then shuts the shuttle.
Okay, so then all of that does to set up the end with Luke.
Oh man!
Because they show you it, they do all this thing, that the whole touching. He was there. I could basically feel him. Oh, my hand was wet. And then he wasn't ever there.
God, I didn't even realize it. See, I watched the movie fucking twice and I missed that. That's brilliant, Brando.
And
yes,
and he had shorter hair, so he was like.
I was sitting there like.
The older and the beard was darker.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, is anybody?
He was projecting
not
himself
notice?
like what people might remember last seeing him as.
Yep.
And he was wearing the old black robes.
The big giveaway is the lightsaber.
Yes. It was the Anakin lightsaber.
Well, and his hand was gloved.
Yeah.
Look at the majority of the island scene. You see his artificial appendage a lot.
Yeah.
It's not. He doesn't ever have that glove or the artificial skin. It's just a robot arm.
Yep.
And then when he fights Ben at the end, he's got the glove on.
So I know we're going to jump around a lot. So when he finally, because I was thinking, okay, so this is his Obi-Wan moment. Strike me down, I'll become more powerful, right? I'm like, all right, cool. And then he goes, boom, gone. No. Stab. No. Who's to say those wounds didn't actually hurt him?
It affected Kylo. He felt like he was shot.
Yes.
He did feel like he was shot.
Yes, because when she shot, he flinched.
Yes, Brando, absolutely.
And so it wasn't just him exerting himself to the Force. Kylo really did strike down Luke, but did it remotely.
Right.
And then instead of him being there on the battlefield and just falling into a clump of robes, he got to do so peacefully and watch the sunset.
And he's at the original Jedi Temple.
Yes,
which is beautifully done,
and brings that character arc forward because he wants to be done with this shit. The Jedi need to end. It's wrong. It's a fucking farce. He's like, I failed. It's gone. They should just die at this point. Because this is just like no. He is so angry old man about this, and I loved it for the most part.
Well, I loved Mark Hamill in the whole film.
Yes,
yes.
I thought he was great. And then, of course, when he finally gives in and he starts to teach her a little bit, and he starts to open, and then you find out he's closed himself off completely from this. Completely, and it makes total sense. He's been here for years, and then, because what does he say early on? Where's Han? He didn't feel Han. Why didn't he? Because he was closed off. If he was there and if he actually was open, he would have felt that, and it would have been gut punch to him.
Right.
But the fact that he doesn't know is, from the get go, when he asked that, I was like, why did he ask that?
Yeah.
And then it's explained, because I was like, is this an oversight? No, he's cut off. But when he reconnects, and there's Leia. And he just barely. And then, of course, that leads to probably one of the better scenes in the entire fucking movie. When when Rey finally takes off and pretty much pulls the Skywalker from Empire, running off to save the day, running off to do this. I have a plan. This will work. Mm-hmm. And he's like, "Fuck! I'm gonna burn the motherfucker down." He's stomping along with his stick of dynamite, it looked like.
Right. Flare or something, yeah.
Yeah. He's stomping along and like, I'm going to burn the damn tree and all the books. And we get a Yoda cameo.
That was awesome.
Unexpected for you guys.
That was total fanfare right there.
I was wanting something like that. Either it was going to be Yoda, Obi-Wan, like somebody's got to come out and say something to him.
Going into the film, I expected to see at least Yoda and Obi-Wan as Force ghosts on the island because, up until a couple hours ago, we weren't aware that he had cut himself off from the Force. So if you're
isolated on an island that's the original Jedi Temple, why would you not be talking to Yoda and Obi-Wan? And it's hinted at that while Obi-Wan is in his isolation in Tatooine, that he's talking to Qui-Gon. Why I figured, Luke's been talking to Qui-Gon and the whole gang. So I love seeing Yoda.
And Anakin.
Yeah.
Right. But since that didn't happen, we get it. And at first I thought, I'm like, man, he looks weird.
Oh, I thought the same thing.
But then, so like he looked like so CG, and then he turns around and he's puppet. God, I love the puppet
they
Yoda.
Brought back the
Yes.
OG.
It was actually Frank Oz controlling the puppet and voicing him.
So like, and what I loved is that Yoda appears because it's cool because you get this little out of focus. That might have just been our screen. We talked about that, but you get this out of focus shot from behind, and Skywalker stops, and he's like, "Master Yoda." He's like,
Some time it's been.
He's like, "I'm gonna burn it to the ground," and he walks up, and then Yoda fucking zaps it with lightning and burns the tree, and it looks like Luke is like, "Ah!" He even tries to the text, it's like he was gonna do it, and then the absurdity of it happening is like, oh my God, what have you done? It's like he's so. I love how all Luke. You assume that he went off to become this awesome Jedi Master and cut himself off from his emotion, and he's so emotionally driven in this movie.
Which I was very happy to see.
Yes, so was I, because it totally leads into why he failed.
Right.
Why he failed Ben, because he was so driven by that emotion. And then you get this cool, what's awesome about almost all the Jedis again is that they never stop learning. And he had another lesson to learn from Yoda, his last one, I guess, is that the greatest teacher is failure. Don't ever let pass on everything I've taught you, all the strength, all the valor, and all the failures. I failed too. I failed the Republic. Yoda failed the fucking Republic.
Yep.
He brought upon Vader.
Well, not just Vader. He brought upon Sidious is right there.
Yep.
He was a part of that whole thing.
And he couldn't challenge Sidious by himself.
Exactly. He failed. And Obi-Wan failed Anakin. And so it's like, don't be afraid of that. Pass that on to her too, because then she will know, and hopefully she will not repeat. And I thought it was just a really sweet scene.
Read them, you have.
Yeah, yeah, about the books, because he's like,
well, no,
like,
no,
page turners, they were not.
Page turners, they were not.
I would like to say, without getting away from the actual or what we thought of the story, I thought that Mark Hamill did a phenomenal job. And I feel like he got to play the Luke Skywalker that he wanted to play, and not George Lucas.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah,
because I couldn't help but think it was like, man, this has Mark Hamill written all over it. Just the way, from what I've seen in recent years of him, it's just it had Mark Hamill's personality all over it rather than Luke Skywalker's.
So, the ancient texts, you talked about it for a second. They didn't get burnt up.
Well, and
they're in the Falcon.
I'm glad you said that, because real quick about Mark Hamill, I nudged him at one point and said, "Man, Mark Hamill looks good." I've looked at some stuff on the internet of Mark Hamill the last couple of years, and he's looked pretty rough at times.
Yeah,
he looked pretty good, and he did a fantastic job. But tangent aside, I nudged him and did I just imagine the ancient Jedi texts inside the crate in the Falcon?
I saw them as well.
You saw them.
And that's why I feel like Yoda, he was like, yeah, who cares?
It's alluded to. He says it. He says she already knows everything because she already has the books. Mm-hmm. She took them and Luke didn't even notice. He wasn't going to get anything out of them.
Yeah, he was like, go ahead, burn it down.
Yeah, well, I mean, and the whole point was for Luke to see that it's not just about some old book. It's not about the. He goes, man, that's history.
Yeah.
We don't live on through that.
Yeah.
We live on, through our students. We live on through our successes and through our failures, and then we pass that on.
I liked how he worded that. It's like the burden of every master, or something.
Yes.
Something along those lines. Is how
we always become. How did he say it?
He said something like our
students become what we weren't, or
go beyond what we weren't, or what we. Yeah.
But it's basically they outgrow you.
Yeah, they outgrow you.
And even for the Sith,
surpass you.
Yeah, for the Sith, it's always the same too because of
rule
because of the rule too. They always surpass. Speaking of, all right, so the Snoke thing. So Snoke hatched the plan. He linked Rey and Ben together.
Yep.
That whole Force connection, it was him. And basically, it's really cool because there's some weird tension going on between Rey and Ben.
I was getting that too.
It was getting almost to sexual.
I called my wife at the end of the movie when we were getting ready to leave, and she said, "Does Rey fall in love with Kylo?" And I was like, "That's the first thing that she asked me," and I was like, "Well, kind of, almost, but not really." So I'm glad I'm not the only one that picked up on that.
They lead towards it, and of course, she thinks there's still good in him, and of course there is. There is still good in Ben. He is trying so hard, and I loved how this movie essentially doubled down on him trying so hard to I am this, damn it.
I think he fucking tripled down, Brando.
Well, he did. He definitely did. But then, of course, she's like, well, I'm going to go save him. And Luke is like, you can't. Trust me, you can't with this kid. I've tried. He's a pesky menace. He burned my temple.
He killed my students and took some of them.
It's weird because Luke created the temple for Ben. He even said it.
Right.
He's like, I started a temple because of Ben. I saw this potential.
And then the son of a bitch only gave him a little hut to sleep in.
Yeah, off to the side. Didn't even let him sleep inside the damn temple.
He had Hagrid's hut. Did you notice that? It was almost the same exact angle downhill from the temple as Hogwarts was. It's just
Rey takes off with Luke's heritage until heritage. All right, so Rey goes and basically Jamaican bobsleds right into the fucking Snoke's. Snoke's ship is basically a stealth bomber.
Right.
It's what it looks like to me. It's like a slice of pizza in the middle of the air.
Well, it's like
space, I guess.
What was the Vader's Star Destroyer called?
The Inquisitor?
Yes, or something like
Super
that.
Star Destroyer.
Yeah.
It was the Inquisitor.
It's like that, except instead of folded into a triangle, it's just folded out the opposite way.
All right, so then, as soon as she gets in there, Ben's like, what's up, babe? Knew you were coming. All right, so then he takes her upstairs, and there's Snoke, definitely not 20 feet tall, sitting in a chair.
He is larger, though.
Yeah. Look at how big his hands were in proportion.
And then of course, you're
compared to Rey's.
All right, man, who is this dude? And, buddy, he's a fucking powerful motherfucker.
Oh, yeah. See, at the beginning of the movie, when he threw around Hux through the hologram, I was like, holy shit, he's powerful. But then I got called back to Vader, and he, choking someone through a TV screen.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, yeah, they can do that.
Well, look at when he Force Lightnings Ben, just at the snap of his fingers,
and it was
bounces it off the ground.
Without, he like you said, it's like a snap of the finger. He doesn't even show anything about it.
It takes no effort like Palpatine did.
Talk about Rey trying to get the lightsaber. It goes around her and hits her in the fucking head. I loved that scene. It was just you don't know who you're messing with.
He's pulling her around. Go look out the window, bitch, and then come back in.
Get on your knees.
And it's like, this is my plan all along. I got you here.
I'm sorry.
He did.
I've got you here, and now you're gonna give me what I want. And
yeah, you are.
Now the thing is here is that Motherfucker died in this movie.
Supposedly. Allegedly.
I think that this isn't the last we've seen of Snoke.
I'm right there with you.
It was just like I wasn't quite expecting the death. Or supposed death.
How he was cut into 3 pieces?
Dude, like, of course, like, I kind of thought, there was going to be the struggle. And I even sort of thought that there was going to be the false turn. Okay? I'm like, but I didn't think it was going to be, like, in the middle of the movie. Having seen Snoke 3 times, it's like, okay, now he's dead. What?
Well, and it was also like, it was really a double turn. Because, I mean, when I saw it the first time, Kylo, you hear everything Snoke's saying, and the second time I'm more paying attention to what Snoke's saying because I know what's coming, And Snoke's literally saying, like, I see you, you're turning the save, you're going to strike down your enemy. And as soon as he fucking says enemy, boom, it's on. And it was beautiful because you're like, oh my God, he did it. Ben Solo is back. He's fulfilling the prophecy. He just changed the game for the better.
And then him and Rey,
amazing
both
Avengers like moment,
tag team.
Oh man, such a great fight scene.
It was awesome, and they're helping each other, and they're doing all sorts of crap.
And part of the reason I liked that scene so much is, Rey and Ben, neither one of them are Force masters.
No,
they're struggling against these Imperial guards. I don't remember what their actual title is. They're Praetorian guards in Empire and Return. But they're struggling against these guys a little bit.
Yeah, those were fucking badass whatever the fucks they were.
Yeah, I agree. Like, they're way more badass than the old ones were.
Whoa, like the old Imperial guards were like, shit.
Like, and then they walked away.
Not so much in, like, some video games like Force Unleashed, but, like, they're actually pretty cool in that.
Those weapons, too, they were, like, hybrid, like, fucking, the weaponry in this whole movie.
I immediately was like, oh my God, is that a light whip?
Yeah.
From the expanded universe, but...
No, not quite.
Nope.
It had some, but and then like it had like almost lightsaber tech built, like mini saber tech built.
It was a vibro whip.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say like they had vibro axes.
Makes sense.
But
so did you guys catch it? Luke's last words. They were what Han said to him on Hoth. See you around, kid.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It's so fucking, they so beautifully did it too, because like the best way to defeat Kylo was to distract him enough to give hope to the Resistance, because now they'll be able to overcome him. So, and I loved the, I want you to fire every gun at that man. All weapon, and they just fucking, the first shot though, I'm not gonna lie, the first shot, because of the red mineral, definitely thought he exploded. I was like, oh my God, that was so graphic for Star Wars. What are you doing?
That scene right there, before revealing that it was just like a Force apparition of himself, or Force projection of himself, that really made you finally see just the legend that is Luke Skywalker, the legend that everybody had like built in themselves of Luke Skywalker, and you're just like, yes. And then it turns out it's just him project. It's still really cool that it was
the little dust on his shoulder,
like that. Every bit of that was just like serving the fans on a fucking platter. Like I love all the fan service that they did for this, while still telling this amazing new story.
Lots of death. This movie is marred with so much
the light speed battering ram.
Yes, let's talk about that.
So badass.
It was an anime moment in live action. Totally CGI, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Well, because like you said, it was one of the plans gone wrong, and hey, let's sneak him out here. All those little transports, and then that one new sub admiral.
It's Laura Dern from Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
But like she's gonna stay aboard and just kind of like hang back, and then she sees them like all just getting shot down, and then she decides to take proactive, and they're like, "It's running for light speed." Ha! The fool! She'll never. We'll just follow her. Idiot! There's no one even on there. Just whatever.
As soon as I knew that she was going to like start messing with the controls,
I watched your hands go up.
Yeah, I was like, I immediately started making motions with my hands. And I took one hand, and I took another at a right angle, and I rammed it into it. I'm like, she's in my head. I didn't say it, but in my head, I'm like, she's about to ram the shit out of that fucking thing.
And she took out everybody. Almost and disabled Snoke's ship.
She
completely.
cut his ship pretty much in half,
She
and then
done
all the
fucked
Star
that ship
Destroyers behind it just gone.
And that was the moment of silence you were talking about.
I had to tell you guys about that because some people didn't know. They complain like, "What the fuck? Did the movie glitch?" No, it's meant for dramatic effect.
It was so quiet. People were like, you could hear people reacting.
They were actually laughing because they thought it was just hilarious, and I'm like, "No, this moment's beautiful."
Personally, I didn't even notice the silence.
I didn't either.
Oh,
I was just so involved.
Dude. I mean,
that I didn't notice it.
With the crowd on Thursday that I watched it with, it was a smaller crowd, and it was silence. I mean, it was beautiful to witness and be a part of that. It was a little bit more raucous tonight at the show we did, went to, but it was just a beautifully done moment. They've never done it in Star Wars. Like,
okay,
got all
so
these fast-flying ships.
I thought the moment was actually earlier in the movie because the movie started off with a damn bang with what I thought was going to be a shocker. And that was the almost death of Leia.
Yeah.
Holy shit. I'm like, so that's how they're going to do this, I guess. And basically the bridge of the ship gets attacked. And Admiral Akbar, R.I.P.,
Yep.
you know.
All the leaders of the rebellion.
They were there. And then she gets just boom. And you're like, what?
Well, and not just that, but it's not Kylo that does it.
And they cut it like that in the trailers.
They cut it to make it look like he was the one that blows up the bridge of the ship, but it's actually his two wingmen.
He decides not to.
He pulls his thumb off that trigger, I'm not going to kill my mom, and we're going to throw some missiles right your way.
And then, of course, they tease you just enough to where they go do something else for a while, and then you see her floating in space, and we almost get the whole Guardians 2 thing again.
Mary Poppins, y'all.
Yeah, Mary Poppins. And then all of a sudden she starts moving, and then she fucking pulls herself back onto the fucking bridge, and you're like, you finally get to see Leia not just feel from the Force, use it, you know.
That was the one part of the movie I did not care for.
Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely takes you out of it. It's the only part of the movie that's really bizarre. But it makes sense because she is a Jedi.
But at the same time, you know, through all, or at least through Empire and Return, you're just told that, well, you kind of have Force stuff. You know, you can feel your brother. Mm-hmm. And, no, I'm keeping it the way it is. You can feel your brother. But
they did make out a couple times in the OG trilogy.
That's right.
For luck.
I just kind of felt like Leia was going to stay that way and not just magically manifest Force powers that she hasn't had up until this point. We've seen.
She pulled a reverse Yondu. She was frozen in space and willed herself to not be frozen in space.
Right.
You know?
The thing, okay, so at first I wasn't sure what to think about it. The fact that she wasn't okay when she came back made it okay for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because if she would have came back and sat there right there and was like, all right, that fucking sucked, let's go.
Yeah, that was rough.
Okay, so that would have pissed me off. But the fact that she basically nearly died, but, you know, stuck around, it's kind of okay with me because you would think that, this is her will to survive.
Yeah.
Kicking in, she can use the Force.
Yeah.
She's not trained. She's not, she's not a Jedi by any means.
Just pure emotion, basically.
But it's it's almost instinct. Willing herself. And then it does it. Then, that's her potential coming in. And it's like she's a fucking Skywalker.
Right.
You know?
I think it's dark and foreboding, though, that her storyline was exactly that. And there was, a lot of really paralleled moments to her real final moments, you know?
Oh, God, dude. Her and Luke's final moments. Especially now that you know that she's gone.
Oh,
right.
Yeah.
Now that Carrie is gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was very powerful. This movie leaves, a lot of things settled. No more Captain Phasma. That was a sick scene. She's not in the movie very long, but
She'll
fuck.
be back.
Well,
No.
She's got to be back.
No.
I've been talking to Brandon a lot up and build up to this. Is Phasma gonna be more of the since the Force Awakens they've said, well, she's the Boba Fett of this of this trilogy. Everything that I've read, that's what that's what they say. That's the parallel.
She doesn't hook me like that, but okay.
No, absolutely. But
I have heard that though. Yeah.
But I enjoyed that little fight scene between her and Finn, and I asked Brandon, is that scene gonna be worth watching? Obviously it's all worth watching, but is it gonna be necessary? I was surprised to see her back from the trash compactor anyway.
Was anybody else surprised or expecting when Rey goes to that little dark area where that keeps calling to her, for her to fall in? And I was like, Boba Fett be like, "What's up?"
I actually whispered over to Blaine, Boba Fett's revenge, or something like that in the middle of the movie.
Hey y'all, I've been down here for a while.
Back to Phasma. I love the fact that they called back to Traitor.
Yes. Yeah.
I love that they called back to that. And Finn even used the little
stun baton
that TR-8R
that he got his ass kicked with.
How cool was BB-8 in this?
Oh,
as far as like being so resourceful and taking over everything, the fucking AT-AT, fixing the damn X-wing.
Well, he went R2 to 11.
Right. And I like how R2 was still in the movie, but like they're still kind of leaving him kind of like, yeah, you know what?
And that's another character we lost because Kenny Baker died last year too.
Yep.
So this was the first movie he wasn't a part of the cast.
But I did like how he's still in it just enough. Maybe you want a little bit more from him, but it also gives BB-8. This is his trilogy of movies to really shine. So.
I would complain about the lack of R2, but they've done such a good job with BB-8. Anytime that BB-8's on screen doing anything, you want to see, at least myself, I want to see more of what BB-8's doing. And when the top of that AT-AT got ripped off, and he's there, and he's got like a handful of, an appendage full of shit, and you can almost, at least myself, you can just imagine this facial expression that he's got. Like, I really don't know what I'm doing, but I'm blowing shit up. I hope I'm doing good, guys.
That whole thing when he had that one little appendage, trying to like stop like a circuit. Another one.
Circuit leak.
He's like he
just uses his whole dome. Bam.
Well, eventually, but he kept like spawning off different parts of that one. They're like, damn it. Yeah. I really, really enjoy BB-8, and I really feel like they've actually succeeded in creating what they failed to do with Jar Jar, like a good, like just kid friendly character that you want to root for, just like the R2 character.
Well, he's got the comedic relief, but then he's useful at the same time.
Yes.
And it's not all slapstick.
Right. I really do hope we get to see more with this evil BB character.
Oh, here we go, Nemesis.
I did. I loved it. But, that was cool that, we actually got to see another BB unit, and it wasn't just...
I think it's a BB-9E or something.
Yeah, I've seen the Funko Pop, but I can't
Evil
remember.
BB.
BB Evil.
Oh, I like that.
I loved how every time he just like looked directly at BB-8, he was just like. For those listening, I made like this really like
scrunchy face
scowl
like fuck you. He's like,
we don't allow your kind around here.
We don't take kindly to your kind around here. So let's ask. I'm going to ask this question to you guys because I'm interested. Most memorable scene of the movie.
Oh shit.
Yeah, it's hard because there's a ton of them.
Can I go first? Real
Sure.
Quick?
Yeah.
For me, it is a tie between the Rey and Ben Solo fight.
Yes.
With the
in the Red Room,
Supreme Leader's guards. That was so well done. Like I said, just because there are not Force Masters, and it shows. Because they're getting their ass kicked for the most part.
It's not perfect.
It's not perfect.
Which ties back into their duel in Force Awakens, where I remember like Sam Jackson was critical. He was like, man, they need to take some sword lessons or something. It's like that's the point.
Right.
That's the point. These guys suck.
Yeah. And then when Luke stares at the twin suns,
That was a really awesome
Yeah.
call.
you know, it harkens back to A New Hope when he's standing on the mound looking at the twin suns.
Full circle.
Full circle.
It's like
And-
the last time he's on Tatooine, right?
Yep. And he goes with a smile on his face.
Yeah.
You know, he wanted to die, but now he died for a purpose and not just because he had given up on everything.
Yeah, he died in order to spark and become the legend that everyone talked about him
Yep.
being. He actually was the legend.
Well, and additional to that, you know, when Ben says, you know, I kill you, I kill the Last Jedi, and Luke says, nope, there's one more.
Harken back to what he said to Rey when she was like, well, the Jedi are this, and the Force is this, and then this. And he's like, everything you've said is wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And then he says that exact same thing back to Kylo.
Yep.
About the Last Jedi. And then, of course, in this was sort of her coming of age where she has the text. So she's going to carry that on, you know. And then near the end, when he's doing his thing to make sure that they can get away, the only way that they can get away is because of her, and with the Falcon and with all that stuff. I really do it. I guess I'll just go next.
Sure, yes, please do.
Because I'm talking.
Well said, Brando.
Go on.
Yeah,
Doing great at this communication
yeah,
stuff.
Blaine's texting anyway.
Yeah.
Damn technology.
I loved when that was my ankle.
Jesus.
I loved when Luke kind of came out of the shadows and had that moment with Carrie or with Leia,
Yeah.
and then you know they have their moment, and then he just walks out the front door.
What about when he winks at 3PO?
There.
Oh, that
of
too.
course
You know,
there's
it's
that.
also to say what you're about to say about Luke walking out the front door. He actually says in the early parts of the movie, he says, Rey, what do you want me to do? Go out there and fight them all with my laser sword?
Yep.
And that's exactly what he does.
Yep.
Yeah. Walks right out the front door, and that whole sequence, from the I want all guns shot at him right now, and then whenever he's like, set it down and take me to him, and then when Hux is like trying to be defiant, shoves him down, and then the pilot's like, at once, boss.
Yeah, he's just like, I'm doing it.
And then, of course, you have the face-to-face, and I love that, even though in the whole projection thing.
Here to tell me you're sorry? Or here to tell me you forgive me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, of course, he's telling him, I'm sorry I failed you and all that. And then, of course, the Yoda scene was great with Luke. And if I had to pick something that wasn't that, with not Luke.
I got you. I vibe.
If I had to pick something that wasn't that, man, it might be shoot. Oh, probably yeah. Okay, the light speed battering ram, because that to me that is like Star Trek right there.
Yeah.
In Star Trek, when phasers don't work, phasers and torpedoes don't work,
We ram shit.
fucking run into them. That's it. That's what you fucking do. So and the way it was done was just it was beautiful, and I loved that. But yeah, definitely that.
Blaine, I'll let you go next. Unless you want me to go next, I can fill time.
It's a tie for me as well, and it's just going to be a common theme with this light speed battering ram. I love that, and the Red Room fight. The
so
fight
good.
with Kylo and Rey was just that entire I know it got split up a bit, but everything that transpired in that room, even before Rey was there, when it was just Hux, Snoke, and Kylo, it was.
Oh, and Snoke tells him to take off that stupid mask.
Oh yeah, everything that happened in that room, that's my favorite scene.
Okay. That room was awesome. That's a great set piece
Yeah.
for the movie. It definitely makes the movie larger than life. I agree that everything in the Red Room is awesome. I loved seeing Snoke's dead-ass face with his tongue hanging out of his mouth, it's just great. Hux tries to kill Kylo for a second.
Yeah.
He thinks
Yeah, he
about
does.
it. And then, of course, Kylo just like, I'm
Wakes
awake.
up.
What's going on? And then it sets in. I'm Supreme Leader. He can't stop me. He doesn't have fucking force powers. I do. Like, this is my fucking thing, and this is the end game that I wanted from the whole thing. This was all literally Kylo orchestrates it beautifully. He wants Snoke gone because Snoke's been tempting him and pushing him.
The thing is that I think there is a part of him that does want to go to the light, and because that's the cool thing with this character is that a lot of, and what we've always seen is the pull to the dark. Anakin, Luke, pull to the dark. With him, it's the pull to the light, and with him out of the way, I think it might not necessarily be planned. It's like dawning on him. So it's like he's figuring out as he's going. He's like, I'm in charge now. I could do this myself. It's the whole thing with Anakin when he's already gone and he's already fallen, and Padme confronts him. You know, she's like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "I'm doing this for us, for you, for the kids. For God's sake! I mean, I'm trying to save us." It's like, and she goes, "But no, what about Palpatine?" He goes, "Well, I mean, I can kill Palpatine." He goes, "And then you and me, we could rule the galaxy together. Imagine that. We can make everything like we wanted it to be." It's like they get this such lush, romanticized views and selfish views. And then so instantly when Rey thinks that he has turned and like she's kind of saved him, and then he pulls that around. He's like, "Join me, please." And I also think he really wanted her to, not just to pull her to the dark and away from Skywalker, but to be with him, because he's like, we can explore our powers together. We can become more powerful. The two of us could be unstoppable, and us, the two destined, the two that are left, could inherit this. And of course, she denies him, and of course, they're both. I love the force pull on the Anakin lightsaber,
like Obi-Wan and Anakin all over again on Mustafar,
except pull instead of push. But...
Yeah, and this time the Anakin saber gets ripped in fucking half.
I do have one question about that scene or that like turn of events.
Sure.
Do we think that Ben betraying Snoke was a partial turn to the light and then turn back to the dark?
I think so.
Or do you think it was a rule of two all along?
I think
it was rule of two all along. Kylo, you think about the building of the movie, and this is a question that I had asked last night to myself, like, what's the resolve of this? So when I rewatched it, that's my vision. Kylo is getting bullied by Snoke, and he's like, "Fuck you! I can outpower you for days."
I think the reveal of him saying, "I knew he'd be too weak to hide it from you. I used him." I think that was part of it.
He was like, "Oh, really? You know my brain? You know it this good? Okay." And then it's just like a
lightsaber through your gut.
Brilliantly done. Awesome, vicious, violent death.
I also, when we were talking about our favorite moments, I kind of realized that, so Luke is gone, but not gone. I do think in the next movie he'll be Force Ghost.
Yeah.
I hope.
Oh, that'd be
if
tits.
we imagine Ewan McGregor Force Ghost, Mark Hamill Force Ghost, Yoda.
Yeah, well, I mean, and he has to appear to Rey because she has all the tools.
And the text.
And the text. Luke's heritage. But
heritage.
So he's
heritage you have.
He's got,
yes.
Yes.
He's gonna have to show up to kind of pat her on the shoulder and show her the way a little bit.
Well, he is her teacher.
Yes.
For however short that was, he is her teacher.
Well, and also think about how short of a time Yoda actually trained Luke. It wasn't very long.
Well, and look at Obi-Wan.
Exactly. Yes, Obi-Wan taught him
you don't jab yourself in the face with this thing.
They all taught with their failings.
Which Kylo did with that lightsaber with that guard. Of course, they do it in a way that you don't see it. But, man, that was awesome because you visualized it. Anyway, we know Mark is probably going to come back, for that. But with Carrie gone and with Han gone, like the old guard is pretty much swept. I mean, Chewie's still there. R2, 3PO will be there probably as a cameo. I really like like Chewie was still there, being Chewie. He did just enough in this movie.
Doing a hell of a job piloting the Falcon.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Who was really flying that damn thing through the asteroid field, man?
I'm saying it was Chewie.
But man, yes, he did a great job. Those little porgs didn't bug me that much. They were kind of
Space puffins.
I did like
That's
how
what they are, space puffins.
I like how I said, Blaine, how they infested the Falcon.
Like the Giska.
Like the Giska from KOTOR.
Yes.
And they totally fucking nested into the wires and everything. And I like how Chewie was going to eat one of them, and they're all just giving it the puppy dog eyes. And he's just like, fuck, I'm hungry, dude. Just leave me alone. Don't look at me like that. Like, this is my brother. You gonna eat my brother?
One thing we didn't dish on is the very end, which we didn't really even dish on the lead in to the very end, because the mission that Finn and Rose go on ultimately leads to the last sequence in the movie, because the stable boy, who is a jockey running these horse-like creatures on this gambling planet, the casino they
basically
call it.
Space Monaco.
Yeah, they're freed earlier in the movie when Rose and Finn are there, and that's a cool little plot point that just seems unimportant. She gives him the resistance ring and shows it to him so they know that they're on the same page. And then at the end of the movie, the little kid comes out from getting yelled at and force pulls the broom to himself.
Well, they were also like telling a story about Luke Skywalker.
Yes.
And then, I got yelled at. Get out of here, you stupid kids! And he force pulls the broom. Wow, my brain just went completely backwards there for a second.
That happens.
And he starts sweeping, and then he starts looking off, and he sees like the shooting star, and you get the old school like Luke Skywalker theme.
Oh yeah.
And thought that was pretty neat. I was kind of hoping the movie would end right on, like, because with the Luke staring at the double sun, and then we get the old Obi-Wan thing with him just disappearing into the robes and just. Whoosh.
They kind of made him look too Jesus-y, though. And that last shot was a little Jesus-y, I'm just saying. Not that that's a bad thing. It just was a little. It threw me for a second. So the only question I have left would be what happens moving forward, because Leia is very much alive when this story ends.
That's one of my biggest questions.
Will we get a funeral for Leia? I mean, they're gonna have to off-screen her. I mean, that's the family said sure, use her CGI character. They said they don't want to do that. So how do you work your way out of this? Does she get assassinated, and that's the main plot of the third movie, is the assassination of Leia?
Well, I'm sure they have some additional footage that they've shot from this film.
You think so?
Look at how long. I mean, they've got to have something that they can splice together and do a fantastic job.
Okay, that's interesting. I like that.
I mean, because personally, there has got to be hours of shit that they filmed that they just didn't put in here because it's already 3 hours long. Yeah. I would have sat and watched it if it was 5 hours long.
If they would have kept going after the resistance huddled into the Falcon. Keep going.
Keep rolling it. But I'm sure they have something, or they will mash something together. I could see them doing an off-screen too, but at the same time, I don't know. Send Carrie Fisher out, not just talk about her.
That's what I thought that scene where she was floating in space was going to be.
Yeah.
I thought that was going to be her send-off.
I did too.
They could have easily made it that.
They could have, but they probably had already filmed probably a lot of the other parts of the movie that had her in it that were pretty key and vital. I personally would like to see if they do, decide to have a funeral and send her off. It would be that she succumbed from being out in space.
That it put such a toll on her body.
And losing Luke, and then having it be like, we lost her, but her spirit, her will guide us to beat the First Order. Like, we have to do it now. We are here because of her. and now we must, honor that.
They're definitely positioning Poe
Yes.
become a leader, to become the leader.
Something I thought of.
Yeah.
Something I thought of, and I'm not trying to shoehorn this in, but I was wondering if he doesn't have some sort of connection to the Force.
I don't think so.
Well, with how fucking good of a pilot he is.
Well, and I was thinking that too, because they've kind of set that precedent that every majorly, just out of this world pilot prodigy.
I'm not saying that he is going to be a Jedi by any means. I'm not saying that.
But he could have connection to the Force.
But
Yeah, this isn't KOTOR 2 where everything becomes a Jedi.
fucking Atten.
Yeah.
Atten's a fucking Jedi or Sith.
Bowder. I'm surprised fucking Zalbar didn't become a fucking Jedi. Well, he wasn't in the second one. But.
So there is still an unsettled question. Who are Rey's parents?
Nobody's, I guess.
Kylo's lying to
Yeah,
her.
he had to have been lying.
I think
And
so.
here's why, and what I'm about to share with you, the
He was
parallel.
seducing her.
No, he didn't lie to her.
Oh.
Her parents were nobodies. Because she's the spirit of Anakin, I'm telling you. It stays all right in line.
It
Because
still does,
Anakin's parents were nobodies. They were a slave and he didn't know his dad, so it's like, or there was no father, midichlorians.
But we never got the leaked, her, are you my father? No, you're mine.
Yeah.
Line from Luke.
I really loved
That would have been confusing.
right? I love the line that Snoke says, the light rises to fight the dark, or whatever.
When
he
the
said.
dark rises, the light will
We'll meet it.
will
or
rise to
challenge it or
meet
something.
it.
Yeah, and I love that basically Rey is there because of Kylo. They are, and that explains their connection to an extent, which kind of their connection, while it's still there, it kind of got dumbed down a bit once Snoke was like, "Yeah, I did that." But
then again,
Now,
did he
Kith.
really do it? Because they have that scene at the end.
Afterwards, after Snoke is dead, they still have the connection.
yeah,
Which I don't think Snoke had as much control of that as he thinks he does. I think Rey has untapped potential. She's going to get a new lightsaber, by the way. That's coming. Has to. I love what we said at the same time.
I bet it has to do with their staff.
But my question is...
Ooh.
Oh.
Has to.
Oh, man. that would
Fucking
be
lightsaber
amazing.
bow staff.
Be tits.
Come
I would love
on.
it. So, also, though, Kylo, does he take on a young apprentice to be by his side?
That
What?
was my next question, because Luke says when Kylo raised his temple to the ground, he killed most of his students and took the rest with him. Are those students the Knights of Ren?
Yeah.
That we got the small scene in Force Awakens?
Yeah, and those they didn't explain that further.
No.
We don't know who Snoke is still.
No, we don't.
This movie raises more questions than answers, really.
Yeah, because the whole theory about Snoke being an old-timey, Sith Lord, that didn't...
Somebody even said that he might be the first Jedi. There was a rumor. I was like, come on now.
I was really glad to see that he's not, well, as of now, not Mace Windu.
Yeah, he's definitely still
Look
not
at
Mace
how
Windu.
long that rumor was
Yeah, for sure.
forced around the internet.
Or Plagueis, or
Yeah, Plagueis was
Vader,
the most common one.
or
Any number,
Sidious.
yeah.
Plagueis was the most common one I saw. I'm like, he's not even a moon. Moon.
So let's go around and talk. Let's ask the question. Out of 10.
Wait, so we're doing out of 10, or are we doing out of 5?
Well,
Because we go back and forth.
We do. We're going to go on a 10 officially. I want it to be a very... Because that's a better grading scale.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, for
Are
sure.
we
more
just doing
points.
solid numbers, or
You
we
can
throwing
point
decimal
whatever the
points?
fuck you want.
All right.
Yeah, that's how we roll. You want to kick it off, sir? Because I'll kick it off. I don't mind.
No, I'm okay.
Here you go, pal. Roll with it.
I give it a solid 5 out of 7. Perfect movie. No, not perfect movie. I fucking love this movie. I'm 9.8.
Damn. Beautiful. Tyler?
I'm going to give it a 9.4
Okay.
because there were the couple little things that after I have thought about it and talked about it now for a couple hours, I'm like, I could have done without that, or I could have used a little bit more of that.
Okay.
But definitely a 9.4.
Okay. Brando?
9. Flat 9. A lot of stuff in this movie I dug. I think this movie is a perfect sequel to Force Awakens.
Yes.
Perfect sequel.
Yeah.
It took just enough from Empire, just enough from A New Hope.
That's that heritage.
Yes. It took just enough from both of those without being either one of those. It had echoes, but for the most part, it was trying to pave its own way. Do I think it's better than Empire? That's a hard task. It's such a hard task to do.
It's right up there, though.
I think, honestly, Empire is a better pace story. This one is more action-packed and is almost just as good of a character piece. It was somehow able to do both. And for that, I definitely think, on gut reaction, maybe I'll revisit it later. I definitely think it's number 2.
We're going to talk about that here in a second because I want to get everybody's list of the Star Wars movies in order, and then we'll close. I gave the movie a 9.75. I was actually pretty shocked that you said 9.8. I was like, damn, that's like right where I'm at because I do love the Rose and Finn stuff. I did love the pacing of this story. I liked that they jumped around. There were some beautifully shot, creative scenes. I loved Kylo looking out the window. Kylo, Leia, and then it was just like that bond of like he could feel his mother and he knew, and there are just so many different moments like that. It's beautifully directed. It's shot gorgeously. The choice of color palette on the final battle using a white canvas of a planet that's actually just like salt on top of like this red ore is just made for this beautiful epic thing. Again, talking about the failure. The whole movie is failure, and then that's Luke's lesson from Yoda is failure is the greatest teacher. They all have failed. Every single character in this movie tried something and failed. Poe tried and failed. Finn tried and failed. Rey tried and failed. We already went through that. So for me, this movie, it edges out, in my opinion, Empire Strikes Back. And I mean just by a pinch. And I said this to you before the movie. This is the heralding of the new era to let us, the fans, know that this is going to be something that is beautifully taken care of moving forward. We're always going to have great Star Wars. And Disney, I mean, I watched Machete Order, Disney. I watched Rogue One. That movie's so fucking amazing. And it was like kind of flat. No one really interested in the movie. It comes out and it was amazing. And it's amazing. So this movie just, it does it for me. It's definitely up there. So I'll do it first quickly here. The movies in reverse order from the worst to the best: Attack of the Clones, Revenge of the Sith, Phantom. Not that Phantom's bad. Then I would do Jedi. Then Rogue One, New Hope. Or no, Rogue One, and then Force Awakens, New Hope, Empire, Jedi. Did I miss one? I feel like I missed one.
I don't think so.
No?
I think you got them all.
Okay, good. If I missed one, folks, I'm sorry. No, I got them all. And then I think the solo story is going to take place leading up to him in A New Hope. It's going to be in the same time frame as Rogue One took place. You really think so?
Another pocket of the story, yeah.
Interesting.
I don't think it makes sense to try to go back and tell an early young Han Solo story.
Did you know that after, so right after Jedi, now this is in the new continuity. Right after that, on Endor, Luke and Han. Wow. Leia and Han got married.
Okay.
Luke and Han.
On Endor, they got married?
Yeah. On Endor.
Wait,
in a very
the Forest Moon of Endor?
Yeah, yes, Forest Moon of Endor. They got married, and it was a very small ceremony. Close friends and family only. Never made public.
Oh.
Never made public. After that...
That's why she's still Leia Organa.
Yes. After that, they during the little war between the New Republic and the Empire, they learned that the Empire was planning on reducing Wookiee numbers on Kashyyyk. Han and Chewie go and free the Wookiees from the Empire.
Oh. You think it's going to be that story?
No, I'm just saying that would be fucking
tits.
awesome to see. that story play out, because that's like, I don't know if it's ever explicitly said in the movies. It's not, but Chewie definitely has some sort of life debt to Han.
Oh, absolutely.
They've never explored that deeper though.
But it's also not even like treated that way.
No, it's not at all.
They're buds.
Yep.
Han doesn't see him as, you have a life debt to me, you owe me. They're buds. He'll do anything for Chewie. Chewie will do anything for him. Which is one of my favorite scenes from Force Awakens.
Oh, they captured that.
When he
so
fucking
great.
snarls and just shoots that motherfucker with that crossbow. It's like, bam! But, we're ranking them, right?
Yeah.
All right. So, the worst fucking Star Wars movie of all time is Attack of the Clones.
Agreed.
It's absolute.
I think that's going to be across the board.
Yeah, can we just say unanimously that Attack of the Clones is number one?
Of worst.
Of worst.
It's fucking abysmal. It has very few redeeming qualities. Even the awesome Yoda flipping around thing does not save that.
Especially since Dooku is so terribly CGI'd in it. It's so obvious.
And what's his name?
Christopher Lee.
Christopher Lee. Great actor. Come on. I'm not going to try and take away anything from him. Great actor. I really dig the character. Very short-lived. Very unfortunate to have most of his scenes be in that movie. Jango Fett. Joke. So, Attack of the Clones. Phantom Menace. Easily. Like, the next worst.
Okay.
It's a fun movie, but it's boring.
Also true.
It just takes a lot to get that thing going, and then when you get some good stuff in it. Next up would be Revenge of the Sith. So all three of the prequels for me are right there at the bottom, and I think Revenge of the Sith tells the best story out of any of them, because it is Anakin's fall, and it's the best part of that entire story. It's what everybody wanted to see. They do a lot of fan service in that movie, and that was like some of the first real fan service, other than like cool Jedi battles. Seeing the Vader stuff was like, and then the full circle stuff, the separating of the twins, the Tatooine thing, looking at the double suns. So up next for me would be A New Hope. Even though it's the original, it's a bit of a drag to get through. Even like kind of rewatching it. I love the movie, but it's just like, man, you go through the motions. It's not the best laid out movie.
It don't pick up till it picks up.
Yes. I mean, to say that is almost like to not even really point out where it does. It really gets an emotion well into the movie. It takes a little bit to get to that point. Up next for me would probably be Rogue One. Kind of drags a little bit too. Has a good story.
Depressing.
Pretty depressing, but...
Or real... I mean, you look at it the other way, it's just realistic.
Yeah. Well, I mean...
True.
That's life with the Empire.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So we have Attack, Phantom, Revenge. Did I say New Hope next?
Yep. And then you said Rogue.
Rogue. And so then what we have left is...
The last two OGs, Force and Jedi. New Jedi.
I'm trying to...
Last Jedi.
Jedi.
Jedis.
I like it.
Okay. These next two could almost be flipped. For me, but I'm just going to say it like this. Force Awakens.
Okay.
And then Jedi.
Okay.
Because I'm having a hard time distinguish, because Force Awakens is fucking amazing. But Jedi has one of the most satisfying character closures
In Vader.
in the redemption of Vader. The redeeming of the unredeemable. He's meant to be the most villainous motherfucker.
He struck down younglings.
Well, he brought down basically all of society while he was throwing a tantrum. I mean,
not
think
wrong.
about it.
I love, man, and it's not even really truly expressed in words. the moment that he finds out that Luke is his son, Anakin's alive, and he's been dead for years. He's been existing as Vader. Now he's alive. Now there's like, he's alive. And what? Oh my God. So then there's the whole, I gotta bring him to the Emperor. It's like, okay, maybe I don't have to. I do, but I'll cross that bridge when I get there. Let's just get him. And then Luke is defying him, and they have this, like, the first little lightsaber fight, and he's testing him. He's seeing, pretty good, kid, pretty good. And there's a sense of pride. This is my son. Holy shit, how long has he been training? That long, huh? God, this kid's powerful. It's like, can you imagine? And then, of course, he knows what Palpatine wants with him. He knows he's a shadow of himself at this point. Still powerful as fuck.
Right.
But knows that this young, hungry lion of a possible new apprentice could outdo him. But what if he and him together? So then there's the reveal. He's never the same after that. Vader is never the same guy after that. Because now all he can think about is his son. He's torn. There's that lightness in him. He's like, my son, can I bring myself to do it? To either accept my fate and let him turn and let him take my spot, or kill him. And he goes through the motions. They have those conversations. And then they have the final showdown where Luke beats him.
With rage.
With the rage. But doesn't kill him. So then Vader's like slumped and he's defeated. And then his son's getting tortured. Basically dying. And he's like, I won't let him take him away from me again. That having a child is a different emotion now, seeing that.
Mm-hmm.
Especially when you watch the Despecialized and he doesn't say anything.
Yeah.
He just does it. He does in actions. You don't need words in that scene. It's just it's an awesome, beautiful scene, because then Luke goes to him and they have this this wordless moment of father and son.
Well, especially with the score in the background.
Yes.
Just that.
And it's so sad.
Yep.
And it's like dread. And then of course there's the whole reveal of like the face and the mask. And then they have this solace moment of where they look in each other's eyes. It's like, the awfulness that I've done can be undone through you. You are my legacy now. And that, to me, is why Jedi probably trumps Force. Force has so many moments that are awesome, but it's that closure of that moment. And, of course, the Ewoks. But I jest. But then it would be Last Jedi. With as amazing as it was, to me, there's just something that minimalistically Empire does better than that. Because Last Jedi did so much stuff with so many action scenes, with so many twists, so many turns. You almost had to like slap yourself and say, "Well, what just happened?" Empire does all that very minimalistically. There's not as many twists and turns, but it's such a good character piece. It establishes so many characters. It takes a step back from the Death Star blowing up, from the big battle at the beginning, and it takes a step back and it explores the Jedi, explores Han and Leia, and explores Vader for the first time in a commanding role, saying, "You motherfucker, fail me again, I'll rip you apart."
He's choking people over
TV
TV
screens
and shit.
And then he immediately goes and bows to the Emperor. You're like, who is that guy? And why is this badass motherfucker bowing to him? And of course, in the Despecialized, you get this weird version of the Emperor with like this vagina eye.
Yep.
Like it's not. I'm so used to
vagina.
I'm so used to Ian McDiarmid, and
yeah.
I love him as Palpatine. He is Palpatine. Like there is no other guy who could like. I just love he's this weird and he's like I love it. But
his name is Sheev. I mean, how weird can he get?
But yeah, dude. I was very, very, very like not pleasantly surprised is the right word, but I know this movie currently is dividing fans. There are some people who hate this new movie.
I don't understand why.
Really? Same. I don't understand that at all.
It's
they're just being haters to be haters. Cup of haters.
Honestly, yeah.
I thought this was a great addition, and they were somehow able, as much as Force Awakens can be seen as fan service and that's it, and just a rehash. They didn't do that with this. They told their own story.
Exactly.
With as I said before, echoes of what we know and love as Star Wars. Echoes, callbacks to the Luke wanting to be trained by Yoda. Yoda's like, you don't have the patience, but now he's like, nah, I'm not doing this shit. You get that kind of thing. You get the cutting down of the master. You get the whole, carrying on to the legacy. And you get even callbacks to the Hoth scene. Like, with that, it's like, well, there's something we've seen before, but now we did different. They're at the gates. It's cool how they take a lot of stuff from history and just use their own version of it. And really quickly, was I the only one who thought for a second that before they could blast the door down, so Finn was like being the whole Independence Day scene where
I knew you were going to say that.
Where he's going to fly in to the blaster, where we were going to see a certain X-wing come flying through with the bullseye and womp rats.
I was like praying for that. Like, where is Luke and his X-wing? We saw the X-wing. Where's it at?
Yeah,
I just thought Finn was gonna die.
Yeah, same.
It's like
same.
Well,
I really did.
That's a bummer.
I was like, man, this has so much character depth. I can't believe they're going to take down another one of their major players. Like, they just killed Phasma, and that's fucked up.
You keep talking about echoes. There's a very small one at the beginning. I don't know if anybody else felt this way, but in Empire, when Han charges the Star Destroyer with the Falcon, when Poe is flying along that Star Destroyer, I thought he's gonna fly up and freak them out on the bridge, and he's doing this thing. That's what I thought about right away. But
awesome. So we still have rankings to finish off.
Honestly, you said it to a T. That's my ranking. With one exception, I think the best movie of the series is Knights of the Old Republic. I'm kidding. No,
it would be if they ever made it.
100%. You said my rankings.
It's not going to happen. Ryan Johnson's doing a new thing, and I can tell why.
He already said
I can tell why. Oh my God, this was so well done. Him with his own universe within this.
I want to see Revan and Malak and Bastila and
Mandalorians.
Even
doesn't
Karth.
mean he can't do callbacks to it.
Even Karth. I'll even take a big screen Karth.
Yeah, throw up Bill Pullman in that role.
Who's gonna play?
Oh shit!
Who's gonna play Karth? Matt Damon.
Bill Pullman.
Matt Damon.
Bill Pullman.
Can I rank my Star Wars movies now? Bill Pullman.
I would throw Rogue One maybe a little higher than you did, but
most part it's the same.
Yeah. Anyway,
Okay.
Tyler, go for it. Matt Damon.
2, 3, and 1 are tied at the same spot for me.
Okay, makes sense.
The second half of Revenge of the Sith with the fall of Anakin and all that, fantastic.
Beautiful.
The beginning,
Yes.
as much as I love seeing Anakin and Obi-Wan duel Count Dooku, Count Dooku got his head cut off like a lot of people in the franchise, so, I appreciated how big of a dick Palpatine was after he got out of the chair, But other than that, I don't need any of that, when Anakin's saving Obi-Wan because he's a shitty pilot, I don't need to see any of that, And there's so much in 1 that I love, like pod racing. When I was a kid, I was 8 years old when Episode 1 came out. That was badass.
Dual-sided saber.
Yeah.
Badass.
Darth Maul, such a badass
Fucking
character,
killer.
Naboo and a lot of the native scenery, that was all really cool stuff. So, 1 1 and 3 are tied basically at the second worst spot for me. I'm gonna say A New Hope, just because the first half of the movie, you can pretty much just fast forward to the Death Star scene and then.
Yeah, I was pretty over Luke Skywalker whining.
Yeah, it's necessary. I mean, it's necessary
throughout the entirety of the movie.
I've watched it 1,000 times by this point, so just fast forward to Death Star, trash compactor, and go. But A New Hope, Rogue One. Rogue One for me struggled a lot with pacing. It was really, really slow in the beginning, and there were certain members of the cast that I didn't care for.
Okay.
Looking
at you, Forrest Whitaker.
What a letdown, I mean,
absolutely.
Just, cool, but Rogue One, and then I'm going to say Force Awakens, Return of the Jedi, Empire Strikes Back, Last Jedi.
Baller.
Knights of the Republic.
And I say, I put The Force Awakens where I do because initially, it's Star Wars. I'm going to love it no matter what. Unpopular opinion again, I don't like John Boyega and Daisy Ridley.
Okay.
In Force Awakens, you could have cast anybody else in those roles, and I probably would have enjoyed it more.
But now you care about them.
Now they did such a. For me, Finn in the first movie, they tried so hard for him to be that comedic relief, and he's just a shitty stormtrooper who, as we know. As we learn more about him, was basically just a janitor.
Yeah.
Who went on, an extermination mission. Like, why did a janitor go on an extermination mission? Like, it's kind of weird. And I just don't really like Daisy Ridley in Force Awakens. I don't know. It's just one of those, I can't really put my thumb on why I don't like her in that one, but I really don't. But I love both of them in this movie.
Yeah.
When Finn was willing to sacrifice himself, and it wasn't just trying to get away from the First Order.
I won't let them win.
Again. As soon as he woke up from his coma, and the first thing he said was, "Where's Rey?" You must have 1,000 questions. I have one question. Where is Rey? I'm sold. Right there. That's all the character development I needed.
Absolutely.
I didn't need the jokes and the...
They milked a thing in this movie. We didn't talk about it.
That big Jesus I forgot about that. He even
I thought you were
it.
meant they milked a theme throughout the movie.
No, they milked a thing.
Oh wait,
a thing.
He was walking up to it. I'm like, this thing has boobs and nipples.
Ray just looks away to give it privacy.
It was too green to be the blue milk he drinks on Tatooine.
You can
so
milk
it's not
anything
a
that has nipples.
I love it. He takes a sip of that and goes, yeah. He kind of does a twitch and
strong stuff. It's fresh in the morning.
I love the cuttlefish scene too. It's not actually a cuttlefish, but it's just
more like a catfish.
He just stabs the thing, and then the next thing you see, it's over his shoulder, and he's just like, "I'm hauling cuttlefish," just heading up the mountain.
I like how the caretakers were just nothing but a gag.
Yeah,
them losing their minds, blew a hole in the wall. But yet, and then later on, it's when she's training and she cuts the rock, and they're just pushing pushing a little wheelbarrow.
They just scowl.
I think they hate me.
Can I add one more thing on why I love The Last Jedi? Going up until this point, you heard so much about a possible Finn-Poe romance. I have no bad opinions about any of that. Do what makes you happy, but it would be so forced
at this point.
And unnecessary.
Finn, I don't know if you noticed this, is rolling in pussy now.
Oh yeah,
because he got Rose is all about him.
Oh
and
yeah,
now there's that tension with Rey.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
her story ended unconscious, just like his story ended in Force Awakens.
Oh, yeah, that's actually a great parallel.
Yep.
And how did he get knocked out in Force Awakens?
Kylo Ren cut his spine.
That's right. They're doing the final battle there.
Hit him with real quick about Finn. I started to like Finn when he picked that lightsaber up and challenged Kylo Ren.
Yeah.
I didn't like him before
Man,
that.
shit.
Okay.
I liked. I mentioned this where when I saw Force Awakens, I loved it, and then when I saw it a second time, I didn't. And a lot of that was the cheap theater laugh jokes.
Right.
We got some of that here, but not nearly as many or as forced.
I think they were more authentic.
Yes, and the one there's only a few moments in like Force Awakens that's still like from Finn that don't feel forced to me, and it's the stuff with Han when they're trying to sneak in to the base, and he goes, "All right, kid, so what's up?" You know, he's like, "Well, I mean, I don't know," and he's like, "You were a janitor? It's okay, we'll use the Force." That's not how this works. Mm-hmm. I love that whole interaction where he's trying so hard to actually do something and try to save and be a hero, and then it just like Han's like,
Han's being Han.
yeah,
You're giving me nothing here.
Yeah, exactly. But then as you said, you know, he's willing to stand up there and defend his friend from this dude, and he's just like, I know how to use a weapon. I don't know how to use this one, but I'm gonna try.
I'm gonna give it my best shot.
Yeah, and of course that was like the trailer thing where we all thought for a second that Finn was gonna be like kind of like the Jedi of the group, and it's totally not. Like the swerve was always that it was Rey. Of course, when like he's trying to force reach for that saber, and it flies right past him. You know,
First you're like, huh? And then it's not him.
and then she tries to do it again. And
Cool, because they kind of did that gag again with Rey, but it smacks her.
It smacks her, yeah.
I don't know. Is there anything else we want to add to this?
Oh, man.
How long do we go?
Well, this is 2 hours and 2 minutes on top of the almost 20 that we went
Jeebus
when we had some
Christie.
audio problems.
Oh
so.
boy.
I'm still going to do some doctoring because I'm still getting a few crackles from this mic, but I don't know exactly what. So I'm going to have to. We're talking about it, but hopefully you won't have to actually hear any of it.
Or notice it.
I've tried not to move around a whole lot.
It's not your fault.
Well-
It isn't. If we were sitting at a table and you weren't touching it, there'd be no issues. But since we're holding it and the cables and the connections, it's all technical mumbo jumbo. But we are going way longer than we ever thought that we said that we were going to go.
Star Wars, of course we
Yeah,
did.
it'll do that.
Yeah.
I could talk about shit for another 4 hours. No
Okay,
problem.
well, let's not do that. Let's not do that.
I'm the
here.
rambler,
I gotta be up
remember?
in 4.5 hours.
We'll make this wrap up quick, folks. As always, you can check the Journey into Comics Network out at journeyintocomics.com on all the different podcasting platforms, whether it's iTunes, Podbean, Stitcher Radio, Google Play Music. Now you can get us on Stitcher, all the other different ones. You can get Journey into Comics on all
Did
the
you
different
say-
social media.
Did you say Spotify?
Spotify. Did I say that?
You said Stitcher
I think I
twice.
said Stitcher twice. It's late.
I don't remember.
Spotify.
I'm listening to you, but I'm not.
Okay,
It's one of those
Jesus.
things.
So also get us on all the different social media sites, whether it's Facebook at Journey into Comics Podcast or Instagram at Journey into Comics, Twitter, JIC Network. That's going to do it this week, folks, for Journey into Comics. This was episode 170. I have been Nate.
Brando.
I'm Dick.
And I'm Tyler.
Thank you guys so much for listening. Enjoy the rest of your week, Star Wars week, and fill your brains with shit.
Yeah.
Yee.